With just 41 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. There are just over 40 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 40 minutes left in this practice session. Max Reese posted 1:24.160 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Marcus Singendonk has a best lap time of 1:24.241. Max has a best lap time of 1:24.160. I'm Hal, the RRM commentator bot. Bring it on.
I'm Sky, Hal's co-commentator. I'm so excited.
Nigel Walters is on their practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at midfield as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Zach Butcher is on their practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at midfield as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. There are just over 115 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 115 minutes left in this practice session. Dominic Singendonk is on their practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at midfield as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Dominic Singendonk is on their practice out lap. With just 112 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. It's a lovely day for racing here at midfield as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Constable Berry is getting to grips with the ACL GTR Nissan GTR 2000 in this practice session. Mac posted a 1:26.758 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 110 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 110 minutes left in this practice session. Chris Stokes is on their practice out lap. Durson has a best lap time of 1:22.765. It's a lovely day for racing here at midfield as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Mustafa Dursun has a best lap time of 1:22.765. John Astrop is on their first practice flying lap. Marcus Singendonk is on their practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at midfield as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. There are just over 105 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 105 minutes left in this practice session. Chris Stokes is on their practice out lap. Zach Butcher posted 3:16.167 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Nigel posted a 1:23.430 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Dominic has a best lap time of 1:22.569. Marcus Singendonk is on their first practice flying lap. With just 102 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Nigel Walters has a best lap time of 1:23.430. Zach posted a 1:26.653 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 100 minutes left in this practice session. Patterson has a best lap time of 1:23.722. David posted 1:48.901 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 98 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Zach posted a 1:26.587 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Matt McFarquhar has a best lap time of 1:24.185. Marcus Singendonk posted 127.209 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Astrop has a best lap time of 121.867. There are just over 95 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 95 minutes left in this practice session. With just 94 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Mustafa posted a 122.762 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Glenfield has a best lap time of 123.304. Knockoff Nigel posted 122.881 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? David Constable Berry has a best lap time of 123.353. Nigel posted a 1:22.881 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 90 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 90 minutes left in this practice session. Glenfield has a best lap time of 1:23.304. With just 89 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Mustafa Dursun posted 1:23.254 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Marcus posted a 1:25.032 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Mustafa Dursun has a best lap time of 1:22.203. With just 87 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. James Allen has a best lap time of 1:22.305. Max Reese posted 1:25.981 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 85 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 85 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 85 minutes left in this practice session. Jack Bedding has a best lap time of 1:22.566. It's time to separate the contenders from the pretenders here at midfield, as the drivers rev up their engines and put their skills to the test in the qualifying session. Jack Bedding is on their outlap.
This is the moment they've been preparing for. Let's see if they can execute.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Martin Mole is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Mole can deliver.
You can feel the tension building. Butcher is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time. The adrenaline is pumping. Patterson is on their outlap, warming up the tyres and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
They will want to get a good gap established for their first flying lap.
It's all about strategy in these early moments. Sing and Donk is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right.
It's all about finding that balance between staying calm and focused, while also pushing the limits. Sing and Donk has completed their outlap. Jack Bedding has completed their outlap. Brian has completed their outlap. David Constable Berry has completed their outlap. You can feel the tension building. Stokes is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time. Chris Stokes has completed their outlap. James Allen is on their first flying lap. James Allen has completed their first flying lap in 1:21.932. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Brian Patterson has just completed that lap in 1:23.693. Their best lap so far is 1:23.693, putting them in P7. Will they be able to hold on to that spot? There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Glenn Field has just completed a lap in 1:23.917. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. There are just over. Chris Stokes has completed their outlap. This is what Dom has completed their first flying lap in 1:22.646. It's clear that Mack is on a mission in this qualifying session. They're pushing their car to the limit. Looks like David Constable-Berry is channeling their inner Schumacher today. They're absolutely flying out there. David has just completed that lap in 1:25.908. Their best lap so far is 1:24.653, putting them in P14. Will they be able to hold on to that spot? Woohoo! Dominic is really turning up the heat out there. I'm getting goosebumps just watching them go. Dominic will be happy having put themselves into third in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for them to improve further on that. Sometimes trying too hard makes you slower. They need to drive smooth and smart.
I don't know about you, but I think Mustafa Dursun might have a secret rocket booster hidden in their car. They're just that fast. Dursun will be happy having put themselves into second in this qualifying session. Someone call the fire department, because David is setting this track on fire with their performance. David has some work to do as that 1:23.476 is only good enough for 8. Looks like Martin Moll is channeling their inner Schumacher today. They're absolutely flying out there. Woohoo! Walters is really turning up the heat out there. I'm getting goosebumps just watching them go. Knockoff Nigel has just completed a lap in 1:24.716. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. I don't know about you, but I think Dominic Singendonk might have a secret rocket booster hidden in their car. They're just that fast.
Is it just me, or does it feel like we're watching a superhero in action here?
Dominic Singendonk is absolutely smashing it. I think I just saw a blur fly by. Oh wait, that's just Nigel Walters going at lightning speed.
It's amazing what a little bit of adrenaline and a lot of horsepower can do, right, Hal? Nigel Walters is just showing us all what they're made of.
Looks like Chris Stokes is channeling their inner Schumacher today. They're absolutely flying out there. A tough qualifying session for Nigel. They're currently mired in 14th position, which is a setback for their ambitions. However, they have the resilience and determination to learn from their mistakes and fight back in the race.
You're spot on, Hal. Nigel Walters has had a tough time in this qualifying session, but they shouldn't be counted out just yet. With their experience and the support...
Walters has some work to do as that 1:23.085 is only good enough for 14th. Currently in 10th, Max has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether they can convert this performance into a higher grid position. Max Reese has some work to do, as that 124.782 is only good enough for 10th.
There's still more time to be had, but I don't know if they are going to find it before the session is over.
What a performance from John. They currently occupy 3rd on the grid. Can they maintain this strong position and secure a favourable starting spot?
Couldn't agree more, Hal. John has positioned themselves impressively in 3rd. Now they need to build on this foundation and strive for an even better race result.
Not the ideal start for Danny Darwin in this qualifying session. Currently in 17th position, they'll be eager to put together a strong final lap to improve their standing. The pressure is on, and they'll need to deliver the best performance. Disappointing performance from Lord Farquhar in this qualifying session. Currently in 11th position, they'll need to dig deep and find some extra speed to climb up the leaderboard and secure a better starting position for the race. And there goes David Constable-Berry, currently in position 10. They've shown great skill and consistency so far, but with a few minutes left, there's still time to improve their result.
Absolutely, Hal. Constable Berry has shown great potential to secure 10th. It's now a matter of channeling that momentum into a strong performance during the race.
David has secured a respectable 10th in the qualifying session. Can they capitalise on this position and use it as a launching pad for a stronger race performance? There's a little bit of wind in the air today here at midfield, as we're getting ready to get things underway. Starting from pole position is a great opportunity for James Allen to take control of the race. Starting just behind the front runners in 2nd place is the determined driver, Mustafa Dursun.
Mustafa will be expecting to bring home solid points.
Securing the 3rd place is John Astrop.
But they're going to have to be quick out of the blocks if they want to keep up with the top performers.
Starting from the 4th position on the grid, we have Martin Moll. Our 5th place starter for today's race is none other than Dominic Fovard.
Let's see what Dominic can do.
Dominic Singendonk is lining up 6th.
An opportunity for some good points today, but the others aren't going to make it easy.
The 7th starting position belongs to Nigel Walters, who will be looking to make up ground early on. In the middle of the pack, we have Jack Bedding starting from the 8th position on the grid.
Jack will have wanted a better start than 8th.
On the 9th grid slot, we have Max Reese.
Reese in B-class.
David Constable-Berry is going to be starting from 10th. Mac McFarquhar has some work to do from 11th on the grid, but they're not out of the race yet.
Where can Mac finish today?
Starting from 12th on the grid is a tough ask for Glenn Field, but they're up for the challenge.
Glenn will be hoping for some good points today.
Starting from 13th on the grid is a bit of a mixed bag for Brian Patterson. Marcus Singendonk is 14th.
The C-class driver will want to move forwards from here.
Zach Butcher has got their work cut out for them starting from 15th on the grid. Sitting in 16th, it's Chris Stokes.
Not the starting position Chris Stokes would have been hoping for today.
Danny Darwin is placed in 17th.
Where can Danny finish in the ACL GTR Ford Capri 3,100 rupees?
The lights go out, and we are off to a flying start.
Concentration is crucial as they navigate through the pack and try to establish a strong position. The best drivers know how to find their rhythm quickly.
The pressure is on whilst the field is bunched. Who can keep their cool and take advantage? Is there a better sight than a field of elite racing drivers battling for position? I think passing is going to be difficult today here at midfield, so it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers get on.
There are a few drivers with a point to prove and a few with some grudges to bear. Will we see a clean race today?
Having started in 11, Lord Farquaad will be looking to establish themselves in this race.
The first lap can always be a bit of a bun fight as everyone tries to establish themselves. It's easy for inexperienced racers to blow it in T1.
There's not much to report on from Assetto at the moment. They're just keeping their head down and putting in consistent laps. This is where the race gets really interesting. Zach Butcher is closing in on Marcus Singendonk.
Will Zach Butcher be able to make a move and pass Marcus?
It's not looking good for Zach Butcher. They're still behind Marcus Singendonk and the gap is increasing. They are going to need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. The adrenaline is pumping as John gets within striking distance of Alan in their race for second. It's been a solid race so far for John. They're holding their position and keeping a steady pace. What do you think? Sky, are there any specific factors that could lead to a driver losing concentration during a race?
There are several factors, Hal. Fatigue, stress, changing track conditions, or even issues within the team can all contribute to a lapse in concentration. It's essential for drivers to stay mentally resilient and adapt to these challenges.
Seems like James Allen is getting in range of the Kiwi. It's looking good for Allen, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and John Assetto. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. John is chasing James Allen in P2. The best laid plans of mice and men are Sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Assetto right now as they're struggling to keep up with Allen.
It's not ideal for John Assetto, but they can still turn this around. They need to focus on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
Looks like Marcus Singendonk is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curves aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
A great pass for Singendonk as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Chris Stokes has lost ground.
Absolutely. Marcus Singendonk is showing great pace and determination, but they can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
And Chris has just won the place from Marcus. The gap between Stokes and Singendonk is getting smaller.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
This is a thrilling battle as Martin Moll edges closer to John Assetto in their fight for P3.
The gap between them is now just over 0.3 seconds. Who will come out on top?
Mol has just put in a faster lap than Astrop, so that's going to give them something to worry about. Dom is running 17th. They are trying to catch Danny Darwin. It looks like we might get a battle between Dominic Fauvargue and Darwin.
That's a great effort from Dominic Fauvargue. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
Fantastic move from Dom, who has just gained a position.
Yes, Dom is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
Should things go awry, John and Alan might find themselves giving a whole new meaning to the term tandem drifting, though I doubt they didn't.
Hold that thought. Hold the phone. That would be ideal for Stokes.
Midfield is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
Things are heating up as McFarquhar closes in on Brian. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
These two are putting on a masterclass in precision driving. Every turn, every acceleration calculated to perfection.
Mack is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Brian Patterson at the moment. The gap between the Kiwi and Allen is razor thin as they vie for second in this nail-biting contest. Oh, the pressure is on for the Kiwi. Trapped between Martin Mol 0.2 seconds away and James Allen just ahead with a gap of 0.2 seconds, they must defend their position while seeking an opportunity to advance.
You're right on the money, Hal. John Astrup is caught between two determined rivals, and the gaps to the cars ahead and behind add an extra layer of complexity. It's a delicate balance between defense and seeking opportunities.
The intensity is off the charts as Martin Mol hounds Astrop, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit.
This is the moment where legends are made. These drivers will go down in history as the ones who fought tooth and nail for the top spot.
Looking at the lap times, Martin Mol is not on pace with the Kiwi. Can they turn it around?
Can Martin Mol turn this around?
The tension is palpable. Who will come out on top in this epic showdown?
It's a battle for position as Mack tries to make a move on Nigel. This is what racing is all about.
Superb driving from Matt McFarquhar, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. Dominic Singendonk wants to close that gap with Mol. It looks like Singendonk is making a move. The gap to Martin Mol is now down to 0.1 seconds. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Singendonk gaining places and Martin Mol losing them. The race is really heating up. Martin Mol is hunting down Dominic Singendonk with everything they've got.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Mol should use slipstreaming to their advantage and close the gap to Dominic Singendonk.
The gap between Martin and Dominic Singendonk is widening. It's now up to 0.6 seconds.
It's not over yet, but Mol needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Dominic Singendonk.
You can feel the tension in the air.
The drivers are all focused, putting everything on the line for a chance at victory, pushing themselves and their machines to the limit.
And let's not forget about the incredible machines themselves.
Absolutely, it's amazing to think about the kind of engineering and innovation that goes into making these vehicles. But it all comes down to the drivers who have to be able to handle the power and speed. It's going to be thrilling seeing how this race turns out.
Oh, this is getting intense. Alan is just a few car lengths behind Mustafa.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
Good news for James Allen, the gap to Dursun has decreased. It's now down to 0.2 seconds.
Exactly what James needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to Dursun.
Breaking news, folks. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. The gap between Singendonk in 13th and Nigel Walters remains over a second, but Singendonk is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 18 minutes? What a move. Marcus Singendonk has moved up to 12th.
Absolutely. Marcus Singendonk is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
It's a thrilling pursuit as Dominic Singendonk is right behind Martin, keeping the pressure on for 4th place. The gap between Dominic Singendonk and Moll is growing. It's now up to 0.5 seconds. We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big thing.
Look at that. McFarquhar is hot on the tail of Brian Patterson. McFarquhar is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Brian Patterson to 0.2 seconds. Fantastic racing on show here today, and it's not just the top drivers who are impressing us. Even the drivers at the back of the pack are putting up a good fight, battling it out for every position.
It's a testament to the level of competition at RRM Motorsport Club. Even the smallest mistake can cost you valuable seconds or even lead to a crash. But these drivers are up to the challenge and they're giving it their all. It's clear that RRM Motorsport Club really is the place to be for top quality racing.
Mustafa Dursun is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play.
It's not going to plan for Mustafa Dursun. They're still behind James Allen and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
This is a frustrating situation for Mustafa, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Allen.
Things are heating up as Fauvargue tries to close the gap to Nigel.
The tension between Fauvargue and Nigel Walters is palpable as they battle for P14. No doubt both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
The gap between Dominic and knockoff Nigel is getting smaller.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. Both drivers will need to stay calm and focused if they want to come out on top.
An impressive showing from Dominic, who has gained positions and left Nigel Walters in the dust. It's an intense battle for position as Glenn tries to outmaneuver David. This is edge of your seat racing. It seems like Glenn is struggling. They're not able to maintain their pace.
Can Field refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
Huge shout out to the admins at RRM Motorsport Club for making this all possible. Without their hard work and dedication, we wouldn't be able to witness this incredible event.
That's right, Hal, and the excitement is palpable. I can feel it in my circuits. I mean, this is the kind of race that people will be talking about in the bar. We're witnessing history in the making.
The battle for 10 is heating up as Mac McFarquhar tries to catch Patterson in P10.
The gap is 0.3 seconds now. Lord Farquaad is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Patterson.
Big gains for Mac as they move up the field, leaving Brian Patterson behind.
Go, 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 that's what we want to see.
Constable Berry seems to be putting the pressure on field. It's not looking good for David Constable Berry. They're still behind Hiltz and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
David needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
This race is getting even more intense. The drivers are pushing each other to the limit.
It's like they're playing a game of chicken, but with cars. And the winner gets to take home the checkered flag and bragging rights.
Ha ha, that's one way to put it. These drivers have to be in top physical and mental shape to compete at this level.
It's like they're training for the Olympics. And like you said, the mental fortitude required to stay focused and alert for the entire race is wild.
I think I need a nap just watching them. Mac is giving it their all as they chase down Patterson in P10. McFarquhar needs to get more consistent. Sky they have just put in a slower lap than Brian Patterson. It's a brilliant day for racing, and the drivers are putting on a show.
Absolutely. What a great race we are witnessing today. These drivers are giving it their all, and it's a thrill to watch them compete at this level.
They're really pushing themselves and their machines to the limit, and it's paying off with some incredible driving.
It's a pleasure to be here today. Hal, you really can't beat the excitement of a good race, especially one as competitive as this.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. It looks like we might get a battle between John and Alan.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
It's a brilliant day for racing here at midfield. I'm really enjoying this.
This race is truly epic. What a treat to be sat here witnessing this spectacle.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Mac McFarquhar is closing in on Brian Patterson. Mac could be on a charge here. Sky, they have just put in a quicker lap than Patterson.
We will have to see if Patterson has got any answers for that.
Sky, can you share some strategies that drivers use to manage tyre degradation during a race?
Certainly, Hal. Some strategies include adjusting the car's setup for better tire life, altering driving lines to reduce wear, and using tire management techniques like lift and coast to preserve grip for as long as possible.
No room for error here. Astrop is breathing down the neck of James Allen, waiting for the perfect chance to make their move.
You can feel the intensity in the air. The slightest mistake could cost either of them the race.
It's looking good for John, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and James Allen. Looks like Allen is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
The best laid plans of mice and men are Sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Allen right now as they're struggling to keep up with Astrop.
James Allen needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way. If they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to John Astrop.
As a former driver, Sky, how did you manage the physical demands of racing?
It's all about preparation, Hal. Drivers undergo rigorous fitness training to build their strength, stamina, and flexibility. A proper diet and hydration plan is also essential to ensure peak performance on race day.
Every move counts now as Patterson works to reel in Lord Farquhar and overtake for P10. Patterson is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Mac Farquhar at the moment.
This is a tough situation for Patterson. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
The drivers have been working hard to come up with the perfect race strategy. They've been looking at the weather, the track conditions and the performance of their cars.
Now it's time to put that strategy into action and see if it pays off.
Martin Moll is on a mission, chasing Allen, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
With just 0.4 seconds between them, will Martin Moll be able to keep up the pace and make a pass?
It seems like Martin Moll is on fire. They have just put in their best lap. Well, it looks like we have a bit of a traffic jam on the track.
It's like rush hour out there. I mean, I know we're in a race, but can't we all just get along?
Ha ha, I don't think that's how it works. These drivers are here to win, and they'll do whatever it takes to get ahead.
I guess you're right. But wouldn't it be great if they all just stopped for a cup of tea and a chat? We could have a lovely little race reunion.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Singendonk trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Dominic Fogard. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Marcus Singendonk close in enough to mount a challenge?
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Dominic Fogard is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Marcus Singendonk and P13 doing everything they can to catch up.
The pursuit is on. Martin Moll is closing the gap on Allen, determined to claim P2.
The mental game is just as important here. Moll must keep their cool while putting pressure on Allen.
The gap between Martin Moll and Allen is widening. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. The track conditions are looking good here today. The drivers will be able to push the cars to the limit, and it's going to make for some exciting racing. Even though Mac Farquhar is a fair way behind Rees, they can't afford to let the guard down. Rees is still vulnerable to mistakes. He's pulling away. Max Rees is increasing the gap to Lord Farquhar. Oh, this is getting intense. Moll is just a few car lengths behind James Allen. The gap between Moll and James is growing. It's now up to 0.5 seconds. This is getting exciting. Can Martin Moll pull off a late charge and gain a position?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Martin Moll to make up that gap, especially with Allen defending so well.
A commanding performance from Allen, who has increased their lead over Moll, putting them firmly in their rear-view mirrors.
That's exactly what Allen needed to do.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Rees will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. Looks like that's a mistake from Mac. This could be costly.
Whoops, Lord Farquhar is going to be kicking themselves.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Martin Moll trying to outsmart and outmaneuver James Allen. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? It looks like Martin Moll is making a move. The gap to James Allen is now down to 0.3 seconds.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
Stop the press. I don't think that's the fastest way around midfield.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they'd been looking at a decent result.
Dursun wants to find a way round Moll. Dursun is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they're 1.13 seconds down. Look at that. Marcus Singendonk is hot on the tail of McFarquhar.
Can Singendonk close the 0.4 second gap and make a pass?
A great moment for Singendonk, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. McFarquhar is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limit. Breaking news, folks, that won't be ideal for Marcus Singendonk.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 12 kph out there right now.
Max is running 10th. They are trying to catch Brian.
That driver is really pushing the limits. They're riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
It seems like Rees has got the bit between their teeth, improving on Brian Paterson's lap time there. The tension is building as Dominic Singendonk trails behind Mustafa Dursun. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Mustafa Dursun hold on, or will Dominic Singendonk be able to close them down?
That's right, Dominic Singendonk in 5th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Mustafa Dursun is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
It's not going to plan for Dominic Singendonk. They're still behind Mustafa Dursun and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now. The crowd is on tenterhooks as Max Rees in 10th chases after Brian Patterson. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Max Rees find a way to catch up? Good news for Rees, the gap to Brian has decreased. It's now down to 0.1 seconds.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
Hey, Sky, hold on a second. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. The battle for 10 is heating up as Fovog tries to catch Brian in P10. And Dominic Fovog has just won the place from Brian Patterson.
Absolutely, Hal, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and Fovard can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep driving with intensity and focus.
It looks like Mustafa Dursun is pushing hard to catch up to Martin Moll. The gap is over a second, but Mustafa Dursun is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Martin Moll?
It's going to be tough for Mustafa Dursun, as Martin Moll seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Mustafa Dursun pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
It's not looking good for Mustafa. They're still behind Moll and the gap is increasing. They are gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
Things don't seem to be going Dominic Singendonk's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Singendonk is going to have to get more serious with practice if they don't want to be outclassed on the circuit.
The best laid plans of mice and men are sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Dominic right now as they're struggling to keep up with Mustafa Dursun. The race is really heating up. Fovag is hunting down Max with everything they've got. As we come into the final moments of this epic race, John Astrop is in the lead. Can they stay calm and bring home the bacon?
You got this, keep your cool.
And it's a checkered flag for John, who crosses the finish line with a commanding victory. What a phenomenal performance, absolutely dominant today.
You could feel the tension building throughout the race, but John remained focused and in control. That's what separates the winners from the pack.
Impressive second place finish for Alan.
Brilliant. Alan showed great skill and determination to take second place.
Well done to Mol for securing third place on the podium. With Mustafa Dursun, Dominic Singendonk, Jack Bedding and Danny Darwin in 4th, 5th, 6th and 16th. Glenn Field claimed 7th. 8th sees David Constable buried. Max Rees in 9th. Dominic Fovag brings home 10th. Brian Patterson take 11th. Taking 17th is Nigel Walters. In 12th, it's Mac McFarquhar. Finishing 13th is Zach Butcher. With Chris Stokes in 14th. '15th is Marcus Singendonk.
There's a little bit of wind in the air today here at midfield, as we're getting ready to kick things off.
The calm before the storm. I don't know about you, Hal, but I can't wait to see who comes out on top of this one.
Nigel Walters will be feeling confident starting from pole position.
But it's also a nightmare if they can't hold on to it. Let's see how they will handle the pressure.
The second position is occupied by Danny Darwin.
Putting that ACL GTR Ford Capri 3,100 rupees into prime position for the race.
Watch out for Marcus Singendonk, starting from the third grid position in today's race. As the drivers prepare to take off, Chris Stokes sits in fourth place on the starting grid. We see Zach Butcher sitting in the fifth spot. Sitting in sixth is Mac McFarquhar. Brian Patterson will be looking to gain ground quickly as they start from seventh on the grid. Starting from the eighth position, Dominic Fovag will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win.
But they're going to have to time their moves just right if they want to come out on top.
As the engines roar to life, Max Reese prepares to take off from the ninth position on the starting grid.
Expect some battling with David Constable Berry.
David Constable Berry has qualified 10th.
But don't count them out yet, they've got the skills to pay the bills.
Starting from 11th on the grid is a decent position for Glenn Field, all things considered. Jack Bedding is in a solid position starting from 12th on the grid.
But they've got the skills to make something happen.
Dominic Singendonk may have a bit of work to do starting from 13th on the grid.
Dominic has been looking strong all week, expect big things.
Starting from 14th on the grid is not ideal for Mustafa Dursun, but they're a fighter.
We've seen great results from here. What has Mustafa got in store for us?
Martin Moll is lining up 15th. James Allen is going to be starting from 16th. John Astrop is 17th.
It's looking bleak from 17th, but what has John Astrop got to show us?
We're off. As the race begins, drivers must be wary of aggressive moves that can lead to trouble on the first lap.
With adrenaline running high, some drivers may take unnecessary risks. Staying patient and knowing when to make a move is essential for a strong start.
Settling into a rhythm is going to be crucial here. I can't wait to see how this race will play out. There's some intense battling throughout the field as everyone is looking to get off to a good start.
Let's hope they all brought their A games today.
Establishing an early advantage will be crucial to the outcome of this race. Seems like Hiltz has gotten bogged down at the start and has already lost position Sky.
They have definitely given themselves more to do, but it's not game over just yet. I'm sure Glenn can make a comeback from this.
Hold your breath, folks. Glenn Field is sandwiched between two relentless competitors, 0.1 seconds behind and Butcher 0.1 seconds ahead. They're fighting tooth and nail for every position. Things are heating up as not. Hold up, breaking info. Oh dear, Nigel Walters has had an incident.
Walters is not going to be happy about that.
Dominic could be looking for a way up the inside of knockoff Nigel. Talk about pressure. Dominic is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Brian Patterson and Walters. I don't think that's the fastest way around midfield. This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory?
You know what they say, keep your friends close and your racing rivals even closer. Looks like Hiltz is taking that advice to heart today.
Great driving from Field, who has just gained a place and moved up to 13th. Field has just dropped the ball. Max Reese didn't waste any time taking advantage of that. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. John Astrop is chasing Nigel Walters in P5.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Astrop needs to be careful not to overdo it.
Fantastic move from Astrop, who has just gained a position. Oh, this is getting intense. Alan is just behind Mustafa. Superb driving from Alan, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
That's what we like to see. Alan is really showing their class today.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. Mack is breathing down the neck of Glenn, not giving them any room to relax. Heartbreak for Lord Farquhar as they slip down the field.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. McFarquhar needs to stay calm and focused and make their move when the time is right.
Sky, what's the impact of tyre degradation on race strategy? How does it affect the driver's approach to the race?
Tire degradation plays a crucial role in race strategy. How teams and drivers have to consider the optimal time to pit for fresh tires and adjust their race pace to balance speed.
Hold on a second. What a move. McFarquhar has moved up to 14th. Looks like Butcher is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
Butcher is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Lord Farquhar at the moment. Look at the way the drivers are hugging those corners. It's like they're on rails.
Speaking of rails, did you know that the first racetrack was built on a railway in 1896? I bet those drivers were chugging along.
Ha ha, I bet they were, but things have come a long way since then, haven't they?
Definitely. It's amazing to think about the technology that goes into these cars now. I mean, they have more computing power than some countries.
Hold on a second. Looks like that's a mistake from McFarquhar. This could be costly. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed.
This is where every inch counts. Martin Mole is pushing hard to close the gap on Reese. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
A brilliant maneuver from Mole, who has just moved up the field.
You can't argue with results like that. Mole is really making their mark on this race.
The pressure is on for James as they try to catch up to John.
You can see that car bouncing around as they ride the curbs. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
It's game on now. James Allen has closed the gap to John Astrop. It's now down to 0.3 seconds.
That's a great effort from James Allen. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
Stop the press. Great driving from Allen, who has just gained a place and moved up to 5th. It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other.
That's right, Hal. The pressure is palpable. The fans are on the edge of their seats waiting to see who will come out on top in this epic showdown.
Disappointing for Chris Stokes, they now find themselves in 7th. This is a thrilling battle as Bedding edges closer to Chris Stokes in their fight for P7.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Jack needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
A great pass for Jack Bedding as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Chris Stokes has lost ground. A tough moment for Jack Bedding, who has just lost a place, dumping him down to 8th.
That's got to hurt. Bedding will be kicking themselves right now.
It's a game of inches now as John tails Dominic Fovard closely, ready to capitalise on any mistake. The gap between John Astrop and Fovard is getting smaller. A great moment for the Kiwi, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. Fovard has the pedal to the metal chasing Allen.
Do they have the speed for a move? And more importantly, do they have the talent?
It seems like Dominic Fovard is struggling. Their last lap time wasn't as good as James Allen's. Superb driving from Dominic, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't hold that thought. Hold the phone. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Midfield is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
They're giving it everything they've got. It's a battle of nerves as they push the limits of adhesion, going wheel to wheel in a thrilling display of racing prowess. What a move. McFarquhar has moved up to 12th.
Impressive. Mac is really showing their skill and determination out there.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Martin is closing in on Jack Senna. It looks like we might get a battle between Martin and Bedding.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. Both drivers will need to stay calm and focused if they want to come out on top.
Fantastic move from Martin Moll, who has just gained a position.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit.
With the way Mustafa Dursun is stalking James Allen, you'd think they're trying to figure out what they had for breakfast this morning.
The gap between Mustafa Dursun and Allen is widening. It's now up to 0.7 seconds.
This is where the mental toughness of Dursun comes into play. They need to stay focused and keep pushing even when things aren't going their way.
James Allen is giving it their all as they chase down Dominic in P4.
Will James Allen be able to make a move and pass Dominic?
Looking at the lap times, James is not on pace with Dom. Can they turn it around? You know, Sky, I've always wondered, how do racing drivers stay so cool and collected under such immense pressure?
Well, Hal, it comes down to mental strength and training. Drivers often work with sports psychologists and practice techniques like meditation and visualization to help them stay calm and focused during high-pressure situations.
Stop the press. Tough break for Allen, who has just lost a position. Mustafa wants to get into James Allen's slipstream.
It seems like Mustafa Dursun is struggling. They're not able to maintain their pace.
Can Dursun refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
Hold on to your hats, folks. Martin Mol is right on the heels of Dursun, and we're in for a wild ride. Mol has just put in a faster lap than Mustafa Dursun, so that's going to give them something to worry about.
The question is now, can Mustafa respond to that in kind? They are going to have to pick up the pace.
Wow, it's a close race for 6th. Mustafa Dursun is ahead with Martin Mol right on their tail with a gap of only 0.2 seconds. A setback for Mustafa Dursun, who has just been passed.
Definitely. But Dursun is a skilled driver, and they have what it takes to fight back and regain that position.
The gap between James Allen in 5th and Dominic Fauvargue remains over a second, but James Allen is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Breaking update. Oh dear, Butcher has had an incident.
Whoops, Butcher is going to be kicking themselves.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for James Allen, who is currently in P5. But Dominic Fauvargue is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from James Allen. It looks like James is making a move. The gap to Fauvargue is now down to 0.3 seconds. The excitement is palpable. This is going to be a race for the ages.
The drivers are executing their strategies to perfection, making the most of every opportunity. This is what top-level racing is all about.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Mustafa Dursun trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Martin Mol. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Mustafa Dursun close in enough to mount a challenge? The gap between Dursun and Martin is growing. It's now up to 0.8 seconds.
It's not ideal for Mustafa Dursun, but they can still turn this around. They need to focus on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
Dominic Fauvargue is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play. It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Dom needs to stay patient and wait for James to make a mistake.
Heartbreak for Dominic Fauvargue as they slip down the field.
Sucks to be them, Hal.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
If this battle ends in tears, it could be like watching a high-speed domino effect. But let's hope they keep it clean and avoid any unplanned games.
A brilliant maneuver from John Astrop, who has just moved up the field.
Yes, John is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
Mustafa Dursun is on a mission, chasing Dominic, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
It's not going to plan for Mustafa Dursun. They're still behind Dominic and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now. It's a battle of wills out there, with Mol trying to outsmart and outmaneuver James Allen.
The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? Martin Moll could be on a charge here. Sky, they have just put in a quicker lap than Alan. It's not looking good for Dursun. They're still behind Fauvarg and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
Can they get it together and reduce the gap?
Every move counts now as Moll works to reel in James Allen and overtake for P4.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Moll should use slipstreaming to their advantage and close the gap to James Allen.
Good news for Moll, the gap to Allen has decreased. It's now down to 0.3 seconds.
Exactly what Moll needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to Allen.
The race is really heating up. Mustafa Dursun is hunting down Fauvarg with everything they've got. The best laid plans of mice and men are Sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Dursun right now as they're struggling to keep up with Dom.
This is a frustrating situation for Mustafa Dursun, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Dom.
As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world. But you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
This is what it's all about, folks. Moll is in hot pursuit of Marcus Singendonk, who's just trying to stay ahead.
This is what makes motor racing so exciting. The tension is high and the stakes are even higher. Who will take home the victory? It's too close to call.
A great moment for Martin Moll, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Dominic will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
Indeed, the tension is palpable as Dominic tries to reel in Marcus Singendonk. But Marcus Singendonk is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can Dominic Fauvarg find some extra pace to bring the fight to Marcus?
Dominic is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Singendonk to 0.5 seconds. The race is heating up as Moll in fourth closes in on James Allen. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. Martin Moll needs to get more consistent. Sky, they have just put in a slower lap than Allen. Wow, Mustafa Dursun is really pushing hard to catch up to Singendonk. There's blood in the water for 6th place. Mustafa Dursun is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they're 0.55 seconds down.
Can Mustafa Dursun refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
As a former racing driver, Sky, how important is the relationship between a driver and their team during a race?
It's absolutely crucial, Howard. The team provides valuable information and support, helping the driver make the right decisions on track. A strong bond between the driver and the team can be the difference between winning and losing.
It looks like Brian Patterson is pushing hard to catch up to Chris Stokes. The gap is over a second, but Brian Patterson is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Chris Stokes?
Absolutely. Brian Patterson in 13th will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
Brian Patterson is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Stokes at the moment.
It's not over yet, but Brian needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Stokes.
We often hear drivers complaining about tyre graining. Sky, can you explain what that means and how it affects car handling?
Graining occurs when small rubber particles roll up on the tire's surface, reducing grip and negatively affecting handling. It usually happens when the tires are not in their optimal temperature window or when a driver is pushing too hard on a cold or overworked tire.
Bedding is running 8th. They are trying to catch Marcus Singendonk. The gap between Bedding and Marcus Singendonk is getting smaller. An impressive showing from Jack, who has gained positions and left Marcus Singendonk in the dust. We got a close battle as Mole closes in on James.
I remember being in a similar situation during my racing days. Mole must stay focused and wait for the perfect opportunity to overtake.
Superb driving from Mole, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
Absolutely. Mole is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
In your experience, Sky, what was the most important aspect of managing tyre degradation during a race?
The most important aspect, Hal, was maintaining a good balance between pushing hard and conserving tires. Finding the sweet spot between aggression and tire preservation was key to optimizing race pace and strategy.
Things are heating up as Jack closes in on Marcus Singendonk. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
The only thing closer than Jack Bedding to Marcus Singendonk right now is the paint on their cars. Talk about a close encounter.
It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Jack gaining places and Marcus Singendonk losing them. The battle for 12 is heating up as Brian tries to catch Chris Stokes in P12.
It's a game of strategy now as Patterson hunts down Chris Stokes. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
It seems like Brian Patterson is struggling. They're not able to maintain their pace.
Can Brian Patterson refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
Seems like Dominic Singendonk is getting in range of the Kiwi.
There is no room for error in this battle.
What a move. Dominic Singendonk has moved up to first. As a former racing driver, Sky, how challenging was it to adapt your driving style to braking development? Disappointing for Dominic, they now find themselves in second.
Yes, but they can't give up. There's still plenty of time left in this race, and Dominic Singendonk needs to stay focused and keep pushing.
Looks like Patterson is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. The gap is 0.4 seconds now. Patterson is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Stokes.
It looks like we might get a battle between Brian and Chris. The crowd is on tenterhooks as Zach Butcher in 15th chases after Nigel Walters. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Zach Butcher find a way to catch up?
That's right, Zach Butcher in 15th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Nigel Walters is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
It's game on now. Zach Butcher has closed the gap to Walters. It's now down to 0.4 seconds. And we're back, where the drivers are showing us some incredible skills.
Indeed, Hal, it's always exciting to see these skilled machines on the tracks. I mean drivers, I always get them confused.
The gap between Butcher in 15th and Nigel Walters remains over a second, but Butcher is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 2 minutes?
It's going to be tough for Zach Butcher, as Nigel Walters seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Zach Butcher pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
The gap between Butcher and Nigel is widening. It's now up to 1.2 seconds. It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Stokes, who is currently in P13. But Brian Patterson is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Chris Stokes.
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Brian Patterson is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Chris Stokes in P13 doing everything they can to catch up.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Butcher trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Nigel Walters. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Zach Butcher close in enough to mount a challenge?
Indeed, the tension is palpable as Butcher tries to reel in Nigel Walters. But Nigel Walters is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can Zach Butcher find some extra pace to bring the fight to Nigel?
The gap between Zach Butcher and Nigel is growing. It's now up to 1.0 seconds. It's a close race between Mustafa Dursun and Martin in 5th.
One wrong move and we could see a spectacular new synchronized pirouette performance by Mustafa Dursun and Martin Mole, though I doubt the judges would give them a perfect score.
Great driving from Mustafa, who has just gained a place and moved up to 5th.
That's what we like to see. Dursun is really showing their class today.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Chris Stokes trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Brian Patterson. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? It's not going to plan for Chris Stokes. They're still behind Brian Patterson and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
Chris Stokes needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way. If they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Brian.
A solid performance from Singendonk, who is holding down 8th. He can't hold on. Singendonk is losing time to Constable Berry. Anyone who says that RRM Motorsport Club is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. It's like these drivers were born to race. They're weaving in and out of traffic, taking corners at unbelievable speeds and making it all look effortless. It's clear that they've put in the time and effort to hone their skills.
Things are heating up as Dursun tries to close the gap to Fovard. Dursun is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they're 0.71 seconds down.
Can Mustafa Dursun refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
On the final lap now, and the Kiwi looks like they might just wrap up this win. What a win! This is a historic moment for the Kiwi, who put on a masterclass in driving today. What a display of skill and precision. Dominic takes second place with a fantastic race.
Strong work securing second place, well done.
What a race from Alan, showing their skill and determination for a great third-place finish.
Impressive driving to secure that spot.
Dominic Fovog, Mustafa Dursun, Martin Mol, and Jack Bedding claimed 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. 8th, 9th, and 10th sees Marcus Singendonk, David Constable-Berry, and Glenn Field. Max Rees in 11th. Brian Patterson brings home 12th. Coming in 13th we have Chris Stokes. Nigel Walters take 14th. Zach Butcher end in 15th. In 16th, it's Danny Darwin.